Welcome to Wish I Had Known, the show where hindsight meets insight. Host Jodie Lamb has worn many hats in the world of finance, from navigating the intricacies of financial planning to unraveling the mysteries of insurance claims and diving deep into the realm of structured settlements. Each episode explores the topics that make you say, if only I had known this sooner. Join the conversation as we uncover the insights that can make all the difference. This is Wish I Had Known, because knowledge is power and hindsight is 20/20.
If you're seeking guidance, inspiration, or simply a moment of connection, you're in the right place. Hello, and welcome to Wish I Had Known, the series where hindsight is not just 20/20, but information to help guide us through daily decisions and future opportunities. I'm your host, Jodie Lamb, and I'm here to help navigate the interesting path of wisdom. Today, we have an exciting conversation with a visionary at the intersection of sports and finance, navigating an evolving landscape in the NIL rights in collegiate sports. Joining us today is Roderick Liptrot. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jodie. Good to see you again.
Likewise. So good. So excited to talk to you today. You know, I figured we dig into the NIL, but we'll talk about any insight, advice, or a personal story that you have that to share with us today. And
Well, I'll tell you, Jodie, it's interesting. We're talking today that there was a court ruling against the NCAA on NIL, basically saying that they cannot regulate or punish anyone for violations with NIL agreements. It's a temporary injunction right now. So basically, it went from the Wild West to the Wild Wild West. Because really, NIL is name, image, and likeness. And businesses use NIL agreements with student athletes and with NCAA or student athletes. Certain states, there are 32 states, I think, right now, there's NIL agreements, name, image, and likeness, or legal in high school. And it really is where a business will use a athlete's name, image, and likeness to promote their businesses to increase their credibility and visibility. So it really is an agreement between the business and the student athletes. The NCAA wanted to regulate that, and they had regulations in place, basically saying certain things like you can't, require the student to stay at a particular school or attend this particular school. They couldn't base it around performance. They have to actually do something, and that has to be lined out, basically what they are doing, stated what they are doing. And of course, there are certain clauses around, so you can't, promote, alcohol or anything illegal, things like that. But
well, that's good because that keeps them clawing back what you're putting together. So,
that is correct. But now it just says, technically, there are no regulations as of today. There are no regulations, so the agreements are still between an organization and the student athlete.
Do you anticipate the another party to come in to be able to give that guidance and oversight, or is it you think it's going to continue as is?
I just came from a meeting and one of a former NFL player. We were just talking about NIL agreements, and he basically said off the record he doesn't see the NCAA being around in the next couple of years for several different reasons.
They don't think that NIL will be around in a couple of years?
NCAA. Yeah, I just dropped the mic type of thing. Now, of course, I don't have a crystal ball, and that is in a person's opinion. So I will let be at that. But to answer your question, it's going to be something's going to come down, some type of rules and regulations. What we do with my company, Alternative Career Sports Academy, our whole thing really has been around the financial literacy part of it. That's been our major focus. That's where we want to differentiate ourselves from everybody else, because regardless of whether it's $1,000 or $1,000,000, Jody, you're giving money to people that don't know anything about money. Probably the first time they've ever had money. Some of these kids, depending on where they are in high school, they can't even sign for it because they're not of legal age. So, okay, so now you have the money, and then how do you monetize that? How you 10X that money? What do you do with it? Our whole focus has been, educating them on what they're getting, how to monetize. Increase that from 10X that money they have, and create income streams. That's what we do, right? That's what our industry.
That's why you're being recognized for challenging the status quo and fostering new opportunities in the sports management by changing the dynamics of the athlete representation and financial empowerment. That's what's so exciting about you, Roderick, and your work with the NIL, combining both your financial background and the innovative contributions through the Alternative Careers and Sports Academy. You are empowering athletes in ways that have never been done before through NIL agreements.
That is correct. Yeah, it is. I will tell you, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of it's a lot of challenges. But and it's kind of, because when we come from an industry like us, we're used to regulations, right? You're used to guidelines. To doing a life insurance or annuity application, that's a 60 to 100-page applications. And you dot this I, cross this T, don't cross out here, don't highlight, right? There's so many things you can and can't do. With NIL, it truly is, hey, you and I can come to terms. We can have an agreement. We have a business agreement. We sign a contract, and we move forward on that. It's like I said, but what the problem with that though is we only hear about the big deals, the kids that are getting the multi-million-dollar deals, and be careful what those deals look like, because there's this word they put around valuation. There's a kid that just got a car at a certain university in Georgia, and hey, okay, that's nice. You got the car, but last time I checked, the IRS wants, probably going to value that, and that's going to have a value, and they're going to get a 1099. What's a 1099? Oh, it's a tax form. You got to pay taxes on that. And I think the IRS wants cash, not their car. So
right. Well, that's why I've enjoyed working with you. We're talking about ways to mitigate that tax liability, or at least defer it until the income comes. So if they're not going to get a car, maybe they're going to get an income that they can stretch over time or to reinvest. You're a visionary at the intersection of sports and finance, Roderick. How did you get into this space to begin with?
Well, I had already been in the space doing insurance and annuities for probably the past decade. And I'm a sports fan, right? Who's not a sports fan? You see my Dolphins helmets back there.
I was going to say, we see plenty of paraphernalia in the back, including you're ready to take a nap, or you support naps. I can't quite make that all the way up. I'm an advocate. Sign me up.
So you saw, and when it came out, we started Alternative Career Sports Academy really just because we were already working with athletes to show them there are all kind of other careers after sports. What we were seeing is that, hey, when these kids, young men and women, they're in their plan days, their life should just be beginning. They saw this ending, the career ending. Well, wait a minute. There are so many other things you can do. I'm in sports, right? But I don't play sports. There are people that are attorneys, there are accountants, there's managers, marketing managers, there's concierge, there's all kinds of businesses and careers out there that sports that support sports. So that's our whole thing right now, is to expose them to all those other opportunities. That's how we got into it. So when we started down that path, the NIL came out. NIL kept coming up. NIL agreement. People don't need. They use the acronyms. I was a naval officer. We used a lot of acronyms in the military. And you ask me what's NIL, they didn't know what it stood for. It stood for money.
I didn't know until we started to speak about structured on a different case that we started talking about the NIL agreements, and that's been exciting and interesting to learn about. And I think what our listeners going to be interested in today is just kind of curious what other options other than just simply putting it in a contract that they get that windfall of money, whether it be $10,000 or $1 million. What alternatives are you seeing as options? And go ahead and brag on yourself a little bit. You were a pioneer in this industry, sir. Let's hear your story.
Well, what we want to do is look at is deferring the compensation. Instead of taking the money right now, teach them about delayed gratification. Why not? Let's instead of giving you say $40,000, I'm gonna use that as the number. Let me defer this and pay you $10,000 over the next 4 years. Okay. And then in the 5th year, you can take out money. Let's say it's $12,000 you can take out in that 5th year. And then every 5th year after that, you can take out another $12,000. And you do that for every 5 years until you're age 60. And then you can take out $12,000 for the rest of your life. Now that right there is showing you how I took $40,000 and created $800,000.
The value of compounding money is significant.
Yes.
I see that in my own world within structures. We get the benefit tax-free. With NILs, there's options to structure with tax deferred, but to complement it with products that can provide that retirement income, and even complement tax-free, accumulation
Absolutely.
within your, I know, right? We're talking magic with money.
I always say, I'm not going to do your taxes, but, everything I do has tax implications. So we need to know about taxes, tax planning. And that's the thing about it. Nobody wants to touch that, but everybody wants to know about it, but none of us to talk about it, and tax free is always great, right? We're a big component of tax free, right?
Right. I mean, and so many people say, in hindsight, I wish I had known I had that option. Here we are. We're talking about this. So, Roderick, for those that are interested in learning about opportunities, if they are having discussions with a student athlete, or they're a parent or a friend of an athlete that might be in this situation, that they recognize that perhaps giving a very large amount of money to a child who hasn't reached the age of 18, or a young adult who's just early in their academic career, how do they reach out to you? What do those conversations look like going forward?
Well, when they reach out to me, how do they contact me, or what do we have conversations, or what are you saying there, Jodie?
Yeah, all the above there, sir.
Well, I think, first of all, I would say, I think there's been rumors out there that eventually, to get an NIL agreement, the student athlete is going to have some type of financial education or work with a financial advisor. Okay, but we're already putting that in place as we speak. Everyone that we sign up on an NIL agreement or work with, they must go. We do a monthly Zoom call where we teach them about financial literacy relevant to their sport, at least once a month. They have to go out and post and talk about that to their social media about the things that we've been teaching them. And then I have actually a financial planning boot camp that we're going to do at the University of Alabama in Birmingham this summer. And they have to attend that at the university. But if they want to reach out to me, they can always email me. I'm an old school guy. They can always email me at Roderick, RODERICK at akfinancial.us. That's Roderick, RODERICK at akfinancial.us. And it just went live again. The new version should be going to live today. Is they can also go out to our website at acsaacademy.net.
Hey, congratulations, Alternative Career and Sports Academy. I love the idea that we're educating young athletes, providing information for them to make educated decisions. It feels right up the alley of structured settlements, where I might have a little experience there as well. But I ultimately believe where knowledge is power, and hindsight's 2020, we make information, or we use the information to make educated decisions, so that we don't look back and say, I wish I had known, which is the whole premise of this conversation in this video series. Any final parting words of information or advice or wisdom that you wish to share to help others from perhaps in the future saying, I wish I had known, because they're going to learn today?
Well, really, it is very new. It's not going away though. All right. And you should inquire about it. You can read up on it. There's workshops. There's different websites out there. They can reach out to me. But I will tell you, it is the way we're going to go. It's not going away. And sports is a part of our culture. Okay. And so and the kids, I think it can be a great thing for them. But it also, without the education, can be a devastating thing for them, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I would say get your arms around it, become educated with it, get with financial advisors, people like us, Jodie, people that know, hey, I would also say the taxes on NIL, they're real.
They're pretty much going to be at the highest tax bracket, depending on.
Yes, they're single, no exemptions.
Yeah, that's a heavy hit. And that's
why the highest tax bracket.
That's why we're so excited to introduce structured settlements into the NIL to be able to defer that income over time. So maybe mitigate that taxable implication with year one versus over a couple years. So, Roderick,
tax-free.
Well, not with the structure. Maybe with what you do. I can't give tax-free. I can do tax deferred. I can't get around Uncle Sam's requirement. But if we don't have to give extra tips along the way, that's okay too.
Yes.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Roderick. I appreciate your time and sharing your expertise and your success with the NIL agreements, and again, advocating for children and young adults and athletes and family members to be able to support individuals in pivotal moments of their career, both in school, after sports, and beyond. Not only are we talking about just a simple transaction of a NIL agreement, but we're talking financial literacy and support for life. So you do a great job at not only educating individuals, but their family members and their children, and for years to come, preserving assets. And, we're not going to have a savings problem, as you like to say, or we're not going to have an income problem. It's going to be, we're going to address the savings problems that we have by putting aside money today so that it's there for the future. Thank you again for joining us. I appreciate your time.
It's always a pleasure. It is always a pleasure. Thank you for having me today.
Well, thank you for sharing your time with us. Next time, we hope to welcome you back to another episode of Wish I Had Known, where we're going to be talking about more stories, lessons, and moments of reflection. Until then, take care, keep learning, and keep moving forward, always armed with the wisdom and hindsight of continuing to grow and share information along the way. If you have any interesting stories or have any questions that you would like to discuss, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, #AskJodie. I'm happy to have a conversation and assist along the way. Until then, be kind, have a great day. Talk to you later.
For listening to today's episode. Please like, share, and subscribe so you can hear all of Jodie's chats, so you don't have to say, wish I had known.